A farmer pursues a pesky, seemingly blind hare in a cabbage field alongside a highway. The farmer notices the hare hiding behind a highway milestone and takes aim with his gun. Akash, Ayushmanna Khurrana, is a gifted but seemingly illiterate pianist looking for inspiration. He devotes his time to fervently completing a musical piece that is an example of his finest art. The only people who appear to be aware of his innocuous presence at first are a neighboring kid who keeps testing him to see if he is truly blind and a pet cat named Ronnie. One day, while crossing the street, Akash is knocked down by Sophie, Radhika Apte, whose father owns a diner. Sophie is impressed by Akash's talent and hires him at the diner, where he is noticed by former actor Pramod Sinha, Anil Dhawan. Pramod is married to Simi, Taboo, and invites Akash to his apartment for a private performance for himself and his wife to celebrate their wedding anniversary. Sophie drives him back to his flat, revealing that Akash can see as he watches Sophie drive away. Sophie, on the other hand, is unaware of this, and the two begin dating. When Akash arrives at Pramod Sinha's flat, Simi opens the door, hesitant to let him in, but does so when she notices her neighbor watching them. Simi, believing Akash is blind, lets him play the piano inside. Akash begins, but soon notices a body nearby. To maintain his charade of blindness, he pretends to be ignorant and continues to play the piano. Akash excuses himself and goes to the bathroom, where he notices Inspector Manohar, Manav Vij, hiding but pretends to be unaware of him because he is thought to be blind. When he returns to the piano, he recognizes the body as that of Pramod Sinha. Simi and Manohar, who were lovers, clean up the body quietly and place it in a suitcase to be disposed of while Akash, ostensibly unaware, resumes playing the piano. In a flashback, Pramod is revealed to have lied to his wife about a supposed trip to Bangalore, but had actually gone to bring anniversary gifts for his wife as a surprise. Following that, Akash attempts to report the murder but is unable to do so because Manohar is an inspector at the police station. Because Inspector Manohar was aware the entire time, Akash eventually ends up lying about the boy living downstairs and accusing him of killing his cat Ronnie in order to change the reason for his approaching the police. Simi kills the neighbor who had also noticed Manohar's entry into the flat, once again in the presence of the unwitting Akash, who is forced to continue his charade of being unaware of either of the murders. Manohar and Simi continue to browbeat Akash, constantly testing him to see if he was truly blind. Akash finally cracks when Simi manages to poison his coffee in front of him in order to determine if he was truly blind. Akash then insists that he doesn't want any problems and simply wants to get to London for a concert. He then tells Simi that he faked the blindness as part of a social experiment in one of his artistic pursuits. However, he starts to choke after realizing that a sweet Simi had given him earlier had been poisoned. He collapses after retching. Sophie walks by and notices that a neighboring child has recorded a video of Akash moving around like a normal person. She abandons him, enraged and heartbroken. Akash awakens and, realizing he can't see, vigorously washes his eyes. He realizes he has lost his sight and demands that Simi restore it. Simi tells him to concentrate on his art and that no one would believe his story about her guilt in the two murders because he is blind, and then she leaves. After consulting with Manohar, they decide that blinding Akash will not suffice because he will still reveal details, and Manohar returns to finish the job. After a tense struggle, Akash flees to the road, faints, and awakens in a shady clinic, which turns out to be a front for illegal organ harvesting. Dr. Swami, Zakir Hussain, and his two assistants decide to help Akash in his quest to raise the funds needed to reverse his blindness. They kidnap and imprison Simi and blackmail Manohar into transporting 1,000,000 rupees to a specific location. Several twists occur at this point. The assistants bind Akash and Simi in order to take all of the money for themselves. They then kidnap Manohar, who shoots one of them but is trapped in an elevator by the other. Manohar, who is trapped, then accidentally shoots himself, leaving his fate uncertain. The money extorted from Manohar is later revealed to be counterfeit. Meanwhile, a desperate Akash removes Simi's blindfold after she assists him in breaking free. While Simi frees herself and attacks Akash, who is blind but guided by Simi. Simi is subdued by Dr. Swami and the two of them. Dr. Swami and Akash tie Simi to the trunk of a car and drive away. Dr. Swami reveals his plans to harvest Simi's organs for 6 crore rupees and use the money to pay for Akash's cornea transplant, but Akash is morally disturbed by the idea. Dr. Swami drives away with Akash in the trunk, Simi bound. 2 years later, in Europe, a traveling Sophie meets Akash, who is still apparently blind and wears dark glasses, at one of his gigs and tells her the entire story. After Dr. Swami drove away with him, Simi awoke in the trunk and began making noises, according to Akash. Dr. Swami dismisses Akash's reservations, stops the car, and walks to the trunk, where he is quickly overpowered by Simi. Simi then takes over driving the car. Akash, believing that Dr. Swami is still at the wheel, continues to try to persuade him to let Simi go. Simi drops Akash off and drives away, but then changes her mind and turns around, intending to run him over. The hair from the beginning of the film slams into her windscreen at this point, causing her to lose control and crash. Simi is killed in the explosion of the car. Sophie listens to the entire story and sympathizes. She informs Akash that he should have harvested Simi's organs in order to regain his sight. Akash, on the other hand, says nothing and walks away with the help of his stick, which has a rabbit carved on its handle. Once out of sight, he cleverly swats a can out of his way with the stick. Please subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.